Hello?
There you go.
My God. Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready.
Okay. I will call the August 14th of 2024 Police and Fire Board meeting to order. The first thing we need to do is,
Making a change on the event.
right, we are going to, oh, by the way, according to this, our agenda, the only one that I know of that's not here is Todd Jenkins, and he is here in spirit. He is camping in real body. So, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Before we actually get underway, would you like to introduce yourself to the rest of the board?
Sure. I'm Britt Weber. I moved into the township, the wife and I, 8 years ago. Lived down on Park Lake Road, by State Road. Background, when I was 19 years old, joined the state police, did 28 years with the state police. Did a few years private sector, went over to Kosovo, former Balkans, former Yugoslavia, did a UN police training mission there for a year. Joined Michigan State University when I came back and was school of criminal justice for a lot of years, traveled around the nation, did a lot of crisis management, working with police, fire, and everybody else across the nation. And taught while at School of Criminal Justice, police staff and command, first line supervision, and private security, various other things. Did a lot of consulting and very active with the Michigan State Police Retirees. I'm the chair of our retiree committee, so we've got 3,400 retirees surviving spouses. And that's the short version. I'm glad to be here.
You're a little young. Did you happen to know Sergeant Jim Carroll in South Haven?
I know the name.
Okay, that was my uncle.
Okay.
Passed for a while, 2008. But I just wondered if you ran across him.
Know the
He'd
name.
have been finishing out his career probably as you were about in the starting.
Yeah.
Nice guy. That's all I'll say. I mean, for a trooper.
Understandably.
Here we go. We would like to, with your approval, everyone,
We have to move in a second.
we have to move the election of officers, which would actually be number 7, up to just under, just over number 3, right? Between 2 and 3?
Right after the pledge.
Right after the Pledge of Allegiance.
So we need
So-
someone to make that motion.
We
to do
need
that.
someone to,
I make that motion.
okay,
And I shall second.
ask for approval.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. Let us rise for Pledge of Allegiance, moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, gentlemen. So, as everyone is painfully aware, we have elections tonight. And the elections are basically how that we've done it in the past, that it works, is we elect the board, the actual board, and then from that board, officers are elected if they're up for election.
No, that's not right.
That's not right?
I don't think so. I think the board is appointed by the township. We don't have anything to do with that. All we do is elect the 2 officers, the treasurer and the chairman. So somebody makes a motion for the chairman.
We don't have a treasurer, do we?
not a treasurer, I'm sorry, secretary. We have no money.
Good.
So then what we do is take nominations for chairman first.
Okay.
And if that person wants to do it, then we would vote on them.
Okay,
And then same thing for the secretary,
okay.
so.
Would you like to handle that?
Well, you can, I mean, it doesn't matter, but you can say, all right, nominations for chairman.
Well, I make a recommendation that the chairman and the secretary, if they're willing, stay on at their appointed rounds.
Well, we've done that in the past, and the only way that we could do that legally is to go ahead and ask if that's an approval thing by the people that are here, and a second. So I will ask you, is there approval here in a second?
I approve.
I second.
Okay, I have an approval and a second for
Okay, wait a minute.
the board to stay as is, as far as
Small made the motion, who seconded it?
Lee
the,
Okay.
McAllister.
yep. You might want to put in there, our newbie's name, and maybe you already have, and date for the, minutes.
Appointment.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
So then we'd say, all in favor?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, all in favor of the motion that's on the floor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Okay, now we can go on to, actually, now we really need to go through, we didn't ask for an approval for the agenda, Brian. Should,
Oh, overall agenda, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
we're gonna ask for, at this moment for an overall agenda, and for the, you should have copies that got sent to you. So I need a motion on the floor and a second for approving the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Well, you
And,
just make, yeah, okay.
and second?
I'll second it.
Okay,
Say, who, okay.
okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we have the agenda approved. Now, public comment, seeing as how we really don't have a public to comment, we'll pass that one. Approval of the minutes. For those of you, I don't know if Christie sent the minutes from the last meeting out from the last, it was actually December 13th, 2023. It would have been.
These are the minutes.
These?
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically, did you guys get those, the money, did you
I
get it?
got it, yep.
Okay.
I was left out this time. I usually
really?
get them. That's
Would you-
probably what caused me not to remember that it was Wednesday and I needed to be here.
Would you, would you like to peruse through,
I will
There's
peruse.
both agenda and minutes.
and then we'll go ahead and approve it once you do that? So how far out are your new trucks?
What new trucks?
What?
What new trucks?
The ones you're gonna get from
Yeah,
township?
they said no.
Oh, did they? Oh, nice. So, you still gonna go down to the lake with the pump and the hose?
Can't chit chat like that.
Getting those
What's that?
Ferraris, I
Can't chit
suggest.
chat like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Business. All right,
I understand.
we can, you can ask him.
How are we doing? Lee, did you,
I've reviewed.
okay?
Looking for a motion. then
Okay,
to
we're
accept
looking
it.
for a motion, and, right, exactly, and a second
Second.
for approval of the minutes.
Well, we gotta get a first,
Oh, in that case, I will motion to approve the minutes.
There we go,
okay.
perfect. And do we have a second?
Yes.
Marty, we have a second? Everybody signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. very much. All right, now we're going to move on to public. Well, we actually did public comment. Approval of the minutes, we did. Old business. From the new business that we had last time, we didn't really have any old business, as I remember. New business. What do we have for new business? Anything? Any correspondence, things like that, people want to hand in? So,
That's all we got.
nothing? Okay. We did the election of officers. Any items for introduction of any kind? I just asked that, basically. Okay. Police Department, update and discussion.
Again, staffing is, hopefully, the issue of staffing is, it's been an issue for 2 years now. I mean, at one point, we had 5 out of 9 road patrol positions filled. We have one last guy, Jonathan Wright, he's, in the Army Reserve. He is finishing up his field training officer program, and I'm guessing he's gonna be ready for solo patrol sometime in September. We had, one position just came open and was filled immediately. Jacob Belknap, he's a pre-academy, so Monday morning he starts the police academy for 17 weeks. And that's being sponsored by the township, because frankly, the last opening we had a consistent run, wanted, and we got 0 qualified applicants. So, he'll be, if you remember Jonathan, right, we put him through the academy, the township did, and then, Jacob Belknap will begin the academy on Monday, but he won't be ready for solo patrol probably till February of 25, so. And when he does get there, he'll be the last vacancy we have, so we'll be a full staff in 2025, but
Wow,
nothing changes, so.
cool.
MCOL's, the licensing authority for police officers this year, MCOL's announced mandatory training for credit hours for every officer to retain your certification annually. For 2024, they made it 12 credit hours per officer, but beginning in 25, it's 24 credit hours per officer. So, and the way,
Can you say that, how many for both of them?
so for this year, they kinda did I don't know, they didn't announce it till June, so they only mandated 12 credit hours
12, okay.
per officer. But for the following year, 2025, it's gonna be 24 credit hours per officer of training that's mandated to keep your certification annually. So,
Oh.
and, you know, with a staff of 13, 24 hours is, that's huge on our budget, so.
I'm assuming you can do some of that online, some of these things?
So what they're breaking it down of, 1/3 is what they're mandating you have. So you have to go, they don't just give you a course, they say this is what the course requirements gotta meet, and you gotta go find the course, and it could be, some could be online. And then some of it, they call it, department needs training, use of force, et cetera, stuff
So
like
the
that.
departments can.
Can
kind of
dictate
pick
some
the
of that
training.
and kinda guide it through. So what happened, we knew this was coming out, so earlier this year, all the chiefs and the sheriff of Clinton County got together, and we used to do an annual training, for most of my career, we called it core training, they called it, where all departments would meet up for 2 days, cause you got 2 different shifts on every department. And you would train side by side with, didn't matter what department you were with, but so we all knew how to do felony stops together, we all knew how to building clearing. And earlier this year, all the chiefs came together and said, hey, we know these mandates are coming out, why don't we do quarterly core training, and we'll just like, so next month it's here at Bath Township at the fire station, they're hosting it here. And we'll have our instructors there, and we'll have 8 hours of core training down there, and some of them classes already pre-registered with MCOL, so we'll get credit for them. So it's nothing that we, sometimes it's classes that we have our own instructors we can sponsor, and it doesn't really cost anything other than the overtime for the officers on their day off to come in and do it. But, the one that's going on next month down there is an attorney, so that actually costs us some money, but the state actually is funding a lot of this, so.
That was my next question.
Which is why, I think
Cost.
why it took so long to come out, cause we kept hearing it's gonna come out, but I think they were trying to get the funding around.
I predict that the MCOs will, as this moves along, will have like some core stuff, and then we'll have courses sort of set up that you can apply to and stuff, so it's a little bit more organized.
I think it's gonna be more evolved, I think they kinda pushed some stuff out and we're all kinda scrambling to kinda,
Yeah,
you know,
but I
by the
think
end of the year to
it'll
get all your credit hours in, and I think you're hit the nail right on the head as it goes, and it's a good thing, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I think just about every career out there has mandated credit, continuing credit hours, so it's not a bad thing, so. It just, it leaves us scrambling, you know, which was the idea behind this countywide core training we keep doing, so, but.
Okay.
So, that's good, we have the new Ford F-150 patrol vehicle, it's striped or marked, but doesn't have anything in it, we're kinda waiting to get that in. As some of you may or may not know, we run Chevy Tahoes, and, you know, they've been okay, we have some issues with them. And then, GM doesn't seem to be able to figure out what it is, when it gets hot out, a lot of times they just quit.
Right.
And then when they cool down, you can actually continue on, which is a problem. And we've had, I think, 4 different mechanics look at it. You know, GM says it's not a problem, so.
So you're going to
So,
pickups? Or
well,
what's
I don't know,
the-
I don't wanna see the whole fleet go there, but we're gonna diversify, I mean,
Start with-
yeah, you know, maybe half Ford, half Chevy, and, you know, they're all gonna have problems, but hopefully they have different problems, so. But we can't have, you know, like in one day we had 3 Tahoes quit, I mean, you just can't have that,
No.
so.
Has the county been having anything?
You know, I haven't asked them yet, I know they're having problems with their Tahoes, I don't know if it's the same problems, but.
I know the city of Lansing is having problems with the Tahoes and the brakes, like the brake pads and stuff that they are manufactured with they go through them and,
Yeah,
Record
especially if you
time.
use the stock brake, I mean, usually them don't last for a month or two, and we're switching to some heavy duty ones, but we had to play with ours quite a bit to find one that will actually last and not run around the whole town squealing the whole time,
right.
so.
That was God, who was that we put on? I'm trying to think of the name of the
It
manufacturer.
was a Callahan.
Yeah, Kelly.
I don't know if everybody gets that reference.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they're actually called, police and taxi cab brakes. Because so many, well, back in the day when Crown Vics were still around and Caprices were still around, those 2 type vehicles, the Crown Vic and the, Caprice were made into a taxi cab so much that the manufacturing company went ahead and built brakes for severe duty like those are. And actually, the ones that were done out here, lasted much longer. We went from, hell, I think it was, 3 months to a full year with putting brakes on when we had the Caprices.
I know
Yeah,
ours don't last.
it's been a while.
He was still in high school,
Was it?
a long time ago. All right.
You're killing me.
So we're looking forward to get to the Ford, and we plan on ordering another F-150 for next year. I mean, I know pickup trucks seem like an odd, thing for a patrol vehicle, but if you see neighboring agencies now, pretty much a lot of people are going to them. So we got some new rifles in. In the past, years ago, I say when the old timers were here, we had a citizen purchase rifles for each individual officer, which was great, until they retired, took their rifle with them. And then you find out, you know, and to share a shotgun is one thing in police work, but to share a rifle with an optic on it is, you know, totally different. So that became a problem this year, so we got 4 new rifles in, and slowly we're gonna kinda make the transition that every rifle per officer will be owned by the township. It won't be you own your own rifle, and so. But that's gonna take some time, cause obviously they're not cheap. We did find that we transitioned to external vest carriers a couple years ago, and now we found a problem that's great for the external vest carriers, but the retention on our holster is such that it'll undo one of the retentions on it as you're walking or running,
Yeah.
and that becomes a problem. And it became a problem, so, we looked at getting new holsters. Unfortunately, the handguns we had, or have, Glock doesn't manufacture that model anymore, and it doesn't meet the safety standards for the holsters that we wanted, so. So we did purchase, new handguns within budget this year and new holsters with a higher retention on them now, so.
The vest doesn't have a spot for a gun?
The vest is an external vest, so what
Yeah.
happens, no, not on the vest, no, it's still on the waist. So, which is, some things still have to stay, you know, like, our tasers are still on the waist, and everything else you can move up, but
What handguns did you get?
we stuck with Glock. If you're gonna ask me the model number,
No, I'm gonna say why Glocks, but okay.
yeah, that's what, we've just,
Yeah.
I think all my career we've had for 30 years, so.
I know.
So, next week is the first, the next phase of the handgun training, all day, so we'll introduce the new handguns and new holsters and get people working on that, cause it'll be new, so. The, obviously, I don't know if you guys heard the canine passed away, our dog Iko. It was so sad because it was, I think the following week, we were going to the board to get the board approval to transfer him over to his owner so he can live in comfort at home with his handler, and he didn't make it.
I mean, he just died suddenly, he wasn't put down, or was
He
he sick?
had to be euthanized, just, he was in too much pain and too many problems in the vet, it's a quality of life issue, so.
Yep.
So, as such, doing, the next couple of weeks, we're doing budget talks around the township and meetings, and I'll be submitting for a new canine for 2025. A new canine runs, by the time you buy the dog, and I think it's 6 weeks of training with the handler and some of the equipment, you give it is like 20 grand. There are grants out there, we will be seeking the grant, the grant will provide up to $7,500 for a new canine dog, so we'll be seeking that, so we'll see if the township, you know.
How much would be our share, I'm sorry, is that?
I'm sorry?
Our share would be 7,500?
No, they would provide at 75, so our share would be like 12.5.
12,
So,
okay.
yeah. And it sounds like if you apply for the grant and you meet the criteria, which I know we do already, you'll get the grant, so. The good thing is we've already had a canine, we have a patrol vehicle set up for a canine vehicle, so most of the costs are already done there.
And you have an officer that's trained.
Well,
Or is he-
that officer is not, he doesn't wanna, he's done it for 10 years,
Okay.
but we have another one in line, and that includes the cost of training that officer with them for 6 weeks, so. So, yeah. As far as our call volume, I'll say it again, our call volume is down from this time last year, which is not surprising, cause, our officer numbers have been critically down all year, so much so that the overtime budget is completely depleted. But, you know, we're running a lot of one-officer shifts, so. So from January to August of 2023, we had 9,850 calls for service.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
I wrote it on the back of your attendance too, there too, for you, but
Your attendance sheet.
Oh,
I'm on it.
jeez, that would be
that?
nice if all the guys did that.
Slide it down. So for January to August of 23 is 9,850 calls for service, and then for this year, January to August of 24 is 9,231 calls for service, so. Albeit, I can tell you what, a lot of them, most likely are our property checks and traffic stops and officer self-initiated stuff, cause we're running one officer, and then when we do have more, he's training another officer, so. You're not getting as much self-initiated stuff, you're trying to concentrate on training. And I can tell you the training, of the officers all year, it's been, Officer Marcus Siedelberg and, Matt Heffelfinger are doing a bang-up job, but I feel grateful to them, because when one gets done, there's another one right behind them, and it's a lot of work, so. But what we are seeing, we're still seeing the calls of aggression, the domestics, the mental health calls, the willing to fight an officer, run from an officer, so. That hasn't changed in the last year, couple of years, so. One last thing, We've always had the capability for a mobile field force. In the old days, they call it riot. The riot group to go down and for civil unrest and whatnot. And so with the elections and whatnot, all the chiefs were looking at their equipment and what we needed and what we didn't need. And we all found that we needed a lot more equipment than we have funds for, cause it all has a shelf life. And, most of that stuff was purchased when East Lansing was having their riots. So I approached the other chiefs, doing a county, multi-agency countywide unit where like we could submit for officers and gear to a township. St. John's is hopping on, and Clinton County Sheriff, and I believe Ovid might be as well, to submit officers, and they'll do it as a countywide group and training that way. I have to fund 4 officers and equipment instead of, 8 or 12, so, as a money saving thing, and I think that way we can give them more training than we would have been otherwise, so. Much like the SWAT team is, it's a conglomerate of every agency submitting bodies to that, so.
I'm assuming there'll be grant money too that you might be able to tap.
Well,
into.
whenever you say multi-jurisdictional and you start doing that, we're in an infancy stage obviously still, but, there very well maybe, that's what we're anticipating, so.
Very little.
So there might be, but I don't know how much is out there. When we reached out to emergency management 2 weeks ago for the mobile field force, the gas mask and stuff like that, and he literally said that money's dried up right now, and there's nothing going out, so. But when you start doing the multi-jurisdictional, cross jurisdiction lines, then sometimes the purse strings open up a little bit more, so.
More bang for their buck.
That's exactly what the government's looking for, the state government, so we would anticipate there'd be something like that. That's all I have.
Would
You got any
that, would
questions?
that probably be jurisdictional, like Clinton County type thing? You'd
It'd be a
have-
Clinton County-wide team.
Right, that's
Yeah,
what I thought.
but reality is we have cooperative agreements with all our neighboring agencies, East Lansing, Meridian Township, Lansing, all of them, that if they need us, and that typically they have in the past, either that or down at the Capitol for riots, we would send a squad down or two, yeah.
I see. Any questions for Chief Smith about his presentation? If not, we'll go on to Chief Snyder.
I've been kinda sitting down racking my brain as to what to give you guys for a report as far as, since we've met before. So we've obviously hit multiple community events. We did put somebody out there for the funeral for John Esch that was killed with that kayak and driver over in Delta Township. So we put somebody into that funeral as far as a show, support. We completed fire school that started in January and ended in June. We had 17 from around the Clinton County area. We had 3 of our own, but we hosted it here at our station. Most of the trainings were here, some of them in DeWitt. I know 2 of them have completely passed and one of them was retaking the written test, but of ours, and that should be taken care of soon. When they got done with the school, Kevin Douglas, who was the administrator for the class, got a hold of them at the school, and the school donated the auditorium, and it was a wonderful turnout. There was a ton of families that came to see, which is cool, because, these classes are 6 months. You're basically, yes, donating your time and efforts, and Tuesdays and Thursdays and some Saturdays for training for a fire department, and that's become a huge thing. We're gonna start an MFR class in September, which is medical first responder, and that'll be hosted here too. Last I knew, we were at about 14 registered for that from around Clinton County. We'll have 3 in that class, again 2. That's a lot shorter, it's only 6-7 weeks, I think. We'll have multiple other officer classes going on at our station over on weekends and things like that too. We went ahead and installed dash cams on all our trucks. both half of them were paid for with the grant and half of them the township covered. Just, obviously nowadays it's time, it was probably past time, but they're up and running.
Is that
That's
just for,
all fire vehicles?
Yep,
is that just for forward?
correct, yeah, they are just for forward. So that would obviously see if there's it's a double-edged sword, if you screwed up, it's on camera, if they screwed up, it's on camera. The other good thing that does come out of a lot of them, and DeWitt Township did this a year or so ago, so they've had some video that they've done. When you roll up on a fire, you can see, for training purposes, you can, save that video and say, this is what we had when we got there, when it was a mess, and so this is what we did, so that's another advantage you can use for that, but the advantage was, or the thought mostly was to cover our tail when it comes to driving nowadays with the roads. We're applying for another grant. The state had some leftover fireworks money, so we've applied for another grant to cover part of the cost of, basically a lime green or a fluorescent coat for the guys for wintertime. Our full-time guys are doing well, and we're assessing the next step to adding more full-time guys, which was in the budget this year. We just haven't got it hammered out as to how we wanna do it and what we wanna do. We do have a drone that was purchased both with the township funds budget and donations. We have 2 certified operators, which is not an easy thing either. It's another one of those things that takes a lot of time and effort on their part. We did use it just the other day. We had a car that they said went off into the brush over here off the highway and nobody could find it. We put the drone up and you could see where they had backed out and left, that we couldn't see standing there on the ground. The grass was deep enough that you couldn't tell if there was a car there or not, so.
Right.
We have used it, and like I said, it's an ongoing project, but right now we do have 2 licensed operators. So that's good for us, surrounding departments, the officers, if they need it some night. It's got a lot of thermal camera on it, so as far as if we're looking for somebody or, somebody that's lost, that type of thing, we can put it up and try to help that way. I'm working on a truck point system that I've seen some other departments use as far as replacement availability of how long we should be running these trucks and what the points are and the age and the mileage and all adds into points. And so I'm putting that into a little point system program that will be continually updating as far as the points due to the age and mileage and so on, to justify more of the what we're asking for with replacement. And lastly, the other thing that we're having a little bit of an issue with is Mercy Ambulance. We're all busy. Mercy Ambulance gets busy and then they call for mutual aid for an ambulance. Part of our problem was Clinton County Dispatch was taking the easy route for us and DeWitt Township, and they just call Ingham County and say, you find an ambulance. So we've done a little educating with them so that, hey, wait, let's call Langsburg, they're close and they're in, almost in the county, actually part of Langsburg's jurisdiction is in the county. Because East Lansing wants to start charging Bath Township per run. And I don't think that that's gonna go over well. So we're trying to make sure we're not using East Lansing ambulance service for their ambulance service, because they wanna charge the township. If they come and transport the person, they're making the money from the person, but they wanna charge the township another $600. And if they called and we call them off en route, say, nope, we don't need you guys, we're okay. We don't need an ambulance at all, which sometimes happens, that's $150. So that is in the process of being looked at, and we're having discussions with the higher ups of the city, as far as what's gonna happen there, but I don't foresee it going well for them. Other than that, run totals. I didn't start with that, did I?
Did not.
Run totals for this year from January 1st to end of July is the way I ran it today, is 763.
That's for this year?
That's for this year. Same period of time last year was 788.
788.
And I'll give you the numbers so you can document them because I know Al likes to see the fire and the EMS numbers. The fire numbers are actually up, and obviously EMS numbers down. We are down a little bit, which, like Chief said, it's a good thing in our business when you're down. But,
Go ahead.
no, it's just that it's one of those things that peaks and valleys. You know, I would imagine by the end of the year, we'll catch up to last year.
But these numbers were just total runs.
Correct, and I gotta give you the separate ones.
Well, that's
for-
what I'm asking for. so.
Okay, this year EMS is 587, fire's 176.
All right.
Last year EMS is 634 and fire 154 for the same period. And I believe that's all I've got.
Any questions for Chief Snyder?
Yeah, question on East Lansing charging. Do you know if are any other jurisdictions doing that at all?
No,
Is East Lansing, are they charging any other jurisdictions other than Bath Township that you're aware of?
they have discussed, they're putting it out there and talking to DeWitt Township also, because we're
Right,
both in line here, and that's, like I said, a lot of our problem is gonna be cured and has been cured with talking to Clinton County Dispatch to get them to dispatch a closer ambulance, and Clinton area ambulance is spending more time further south, Sitting Point. DeWitt Township has actually offered their Station 2 off of Herbison Road, that if they're sitting, if Clinton area ambulance is Sitting Point, they can come and use their station, so they can sit in a building and not be sitting in a truck at the corner of Price and 27 for umpteen hours. They can actually use their station, restrooms, that type of thing. So that's gonna improve. We're all basically scrambling, trying to make things better. Because of this probably brought on some of the scrambling, don't get me wrong, but it's just a funny, it feels like I don't know what it feels like. I know it's strange that they want to all of a sudden start charging.
that is strange.
Well, they're hungry for money. I mean, they're trying to find every way they can make more money. That's the bottom line. To me, it seems like double dipping. I don't know how they can charge a patient ambulance service and then charge the township that they're in.
Yeah,
It's been tried before by other agencies, like Lansing versus Lansing Township. They tried that some years ago, but it usually falls apart when the legalese gets involved and those higher ups, so.
yeah.
Any other questions for Dave?
I want to follow up with Chief Smith. One quick question.
Go ahead.
Now, you guys got dash cams now, or not, body cams now, right?
Yeah, we've had body cams for quite a while, but yeah, we got new ones now.
Oh, maybe it was just the new ones
Last
and
couple of years.
Okay.
So we went to Axon, and, cause we were having so many problems with our other ones that, sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't, and when they didn't, everybody had a conspiracy theory.
Of course.
But
Axon had the best track record for camera systems for a while now.
it's, everybody in this county except the Clinton County Sheriff is switched over to Axon. They are expensive, but I will say we've had zero, when I was lieutenant and Chief Lindemoller was here, I was working on them things daily, and I'm not exaggerating, and it just, Axon, we've had zero issues, but they kinda got the market cornered on cameras, and Clinton County stuck with, they were WatchGuard, Motorola bought them, they're the same product, but they stuck with them, and I think they're currently looking to get out of that contract possibly and switch over to Axon, cause they're having issues.
Who stores the, memory?
It's, Axon does, it's in the cloud. So the nice thing is, we can upload it, it's encrypted, and the prosecutor's office can grab what they need on there, and it's all meets the encryption standards, so. Yeah.
who can access that?
The police department only, and then we invite them to access whatever file we're sending them for like a warrant request,
Well,
so.
you can do freedom of information too, you can get body cam.
You can, yeah, absolutely, yeah, through FOIA.
Am I correct in saying, I know it used to be that the documents were watermarked for trial, for court?
Yeah, they'll have our watermark on it, so, I mean, if something got out, we would know, you know. But Axon's incredible, cause it's got a log, I don't know what you wanna call it, log feature that and like, when I review somebody's, you know, body camera footage for today, it date and time stamps it in a log that Chief
Somebody
Smith looked at it, you know, absolutely, so.
It's like checking out evidence.
Yeah, it's absolutely. Can I add one more thing I didn't talk about?
Oh, right
I don't know
ahead.
if you, the township, next week is, with the ARPA funds, we've been trying to get electronic locks, cause we're still on the old key system here. For the police department, basically all the buildings here. And so they dedicated a amount of the ARPA funds to bring us into the 21st century, so we just have electronic locks on the doors as well as cameras. Cause, I mean, the police department started with cameras because I put them up, and then Ben Zeeb and I put them up for the township. And then, you know, but they don't have the storage retention the township is looking for after a few incidents we've had, so. Next week, they're gonna start that process of, doing electronic door locks, which will have a log of every time somebody swipes in. And then it'll have a camera on the door as well, so.
Is there, are there alarms to the buildings, or somebody breaks a window or something?
No.
Now everybody knows that.
Not,
Yeah,
everyone knows.
Thanks, man.
There's cameras everywhere, I mean, so, and they're monitored 24/7, so. But
Yeah.
this will just give us, like a 30 or 90 day, you know, retention on them, so.
All right.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, gentlemen, for your reports, greatly appreciated. Public comments, seeing as how no public arrived, we probably do not have any. Township board report, we're gonna say no, because Al's not here. And so now, the one thing that I didn't see on here, we had board comments. And I didn't see that on here.
It says members' comments.
Yeah, it says member comments, it should say board comments. Okay, let's try that. Monty, you got anything?
Oh, it's nice to see everybody after almost a year.
It is.
Good seeing you, Craig.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
I'm glad you could see me.
Speaking of that, while we're on that subject, I will tell everyone that we are entering the phase that Marie Howell asked us to enter to become, they'll have 2 people elected every year on this board. So what it will do, it will send us into a rotation basis. So what that means is basically is every other year, we'll have
Well, it's-
probably elections of somebody on this board will be
It's really an appointment.
correct.
I mean, the board votes on it, I suppose, but it's an appointment of board members,
Correct.
right?
Absolutely correct. And we have one more that's here, as I said before. Todd Jenkins is playing hooky. He decided to get one more burst of summer. So we wouldn't want to disrupt him from being on vacation. So. Anyway, I will,
Any other board comments?
yeah, have we got any board comments? That's
Not for me.
None for me.
Nothing,
By the way, welcome aboard.
thank you very much,
We'll look forward to working together.
thank you.
with your credentials, you should be a huge help.
Okay,
You will,
well, thank you.
you absolutely will.
We'll see.
All right, I will ask for an adjournment. I can get a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded.
Aye.
To adjourn,
We haven't
everyone
seconded.
signify by saying aye.
Oh, I seconded it, I guess.
Yeah,
I
you
was ask-
seconded.
I was asking if someone would second it, but.
I was trying to get there, you were over-speaking me, sir.
Sorry, go. Now, what were you saying?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Well, thanks, guys. And yes, hopefully that this will clear some problems up. We had is this on?
What? We're done. Oh, we're not done?